Hey guys, Geoffrey here again, and today I have Eve. So Eve joined the program February of 2022, and Eve here is interesting because one, she's a woman. We don't usually do interviews with a lot of women, but we do have a lot of women join as well, and we do get a lot of success with them as well. So we'll talk about that in a bit. But here we'll talk about how Eve's situation was like in the beginning, and then we'll talk about how things are like now. And we also talk about kind of the key learning lessons that Eve has learned through the program that got her from 0 to 100. So Eve, I guess tell me a bit more about how things were like when you first started with me. I guess start from the beginning.
Yeah, well, my marriage broke down in November last year. And so I went on a binge of buying PDFs and like audiobooks online to like how to save my marriage and stuff like that. And I come across your videos on YouTube. I got into my first master class was in December, and I thought, I can just find free videos online just to and this is just the way to do it. I'm just going to avoid buying the all the program, and then it didn't work. There's gaps in knowledge still that I was trying to find out for myself. Like, for example, okay, how do I change internally to fix my relationship? And that it's not anywhere. So my next master class was in January, and I finally got into your program in February. So I destroyed safety in the relationship because I know that there was a catch-22. There was something there that we don't talk about. And then I approach it in a way that is so toxic that one night we just went into an argument, and he shut down, stonewalled me totally, and said I had enough. And that was the slap in the face for me. And then I went into the extreme of like no contact, and that's very manipulative. I realized, because that was the needy and the manipulative way to go of like, he's not coming back. Why is this not working? And then went into the other side of the pendulum, which is bombarding him every single day of let's talk about it. But the real thing is, when I joined your program, it's really the internal shift, the identity change that I need to work on to become the better me, so that to fix the relationship that started with myself first, and then leading on to him coming back.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was worse. It was the darkest period of my life. And yeah.
So to clarify a few things here, so when you had the argument and he said, "I'm done," was it you who were kind of saying no contact, I don't want to contact anymore, or was it him saying I don't want to contact you anymore and him stonewalling you? Which was the one here?
Yeah. So when he said, okay, erase me from your life, and I want you to erase me from your life, and he said, you have lost your rights to be my wife, and now I lost my rights to become your husband, and it was so painful. And so I looked at YouTube videos on how to fix it. So they just said no contact, that's it, he will miss you. But that doesn't really work, because they don't. And it just, there's a confirmation bias there that will just worsen when you do no contact. And I didn't realize that I was so confused in November, December, January. I was so confused of what to do. So depressed and just crying, victimizing. I didn't, yeah, that was that was the lowest point in my life. I went to the dark, in my darkest phase. I was like, can I just leave this earth? Can I just go and just,
I think,
and my friends are there to like, oh, good thing I have friends to listen to me, because man, I didn't even think that I was going to go into the deepest, darkest, areas in my mind.
yeah.
So yeah, this program is like a lifesaver for me, really.
Yeah. So if I have the story straight, I think initially you knew a lot of things were wrong in the relationship, argued a lot.
Yes.
And there was one big argument that really catalyzed the whole breakdown here. That's just a tipping point for everything.
Correct.
When their argument happened, I think he said, you know what, screw this crap, I'm out. And you went also, well, fine then, no contact, I'm out. You realize that when you did no contact, things weren't getting better necessarily. In fact, he was having his own confirmation bias, kind of confirming his own negative confirmation bias, became worse. So you tried no contact and you panicked.
That is exactly what I did.
Contact, right?
Yes.
Neither works. Neither extreme works. And I remember when you joined the program, there was a period of multiple months when you were quite distraught, because here you were trying to contact him again, but nothing you were doing seemed to be working. So there was a period, I think, of 3-4 months, right, when he was completely shutting you out, completely stonewalling you 100%. Like, it was so hard to even talk to him, to even get him to open your message, to even get him to say a word. That's kind of where we are, right?
Yeah.
And that was a dark moment, that period of no contact, of being stonewalled, of having zero hope, and having known that, like, man, I've done some toxic things and I don't know how to recover from this. That was really the darkest part for you.
Yeah. It was so painful. Like there was a time you would cook dinner and he wouldn't even eat what you cook. It's just, that was so painful. Like, this guy hates my guts. Like, to not have food in front of you because you hate the other person, even if you're so hungry, that's next level hate, So yeah. He was completely done.
Yeah. So that was February or earlier 2022. Now we're recording this on August 20th, 2022. How are things like now?
It's great now. We're like girlfriend, boyfriend again. And
so you two were married before this, right? How long were you guys married before this?
We're married September 2020.
Okay, so 2 years into the marriage, yeah.
And we've never we didn't live together. We're together since 2016. So we didn't live together. We waited until marriage, to consummate because of my faith and his faith. And I think that was a good thing. But then no one told us how to really that this is going to be it. It's a very complex relationship when you have two different people join in and live together. And when there's a module that teaches about the delusions of soulmates and unconditional love, and it really just resonated. This is the one, because no one really told us. They put you in a boat and they said, okay, happy sailing into the sunset forever. But then no one told you about that there's going to be storms and stuff like that. So, and we thought we were unbreakable. We really were in love, and we are an inspiration to friends and family and whatnot, because we're two different cultures and we understood each other. That's what we thought. And then we're the best, like no one can touch us. But then here we are, into one year into the marriage, and then
havoc. Yeah.
True chaos.
So you were telling me about how things are like now, and it's like, not only is he just warming up to me a lot, we're talking every single day. He comes. I mean, there was a time when you separated, right? So
yeah,
there's a time when he came over a lot. brought you food,
Yes.
hang out till the night, stay the night. You guys are going on dates again, talking about life and childhood and dreams and goals. And I mean, for lack of a better word, like, it's hard to define what reconciliation looks like, but this is, yeah, I would say this ticks all the boxes.
Yeah, I think so too. And it's really just night and day. It's really just a big contrast when we had that fight. And I'm glad that it's taking this long, because if I went into and bombarded him like, let's get back, I've changed. Shoot, I've never really changed, but now I've changed, and he feels that. And yeah, and I'm actually planting seeds all the time, and I see them, I see them germinate, and I'm just living my life and I'm letting him live his life.
Yeah.
And when we go on dates and stuff, we've got so much things to talk about, and it's really fun.
It's amazing because I remember during those first coaching calls with you, Eve, I can see the gloominess on your face. Contrast to now, the smile whenever we talk about the relationship, whenever we talk about principles of the program. I mean, your face looks different. I'm sorry.
For
it looks so much more radiant and happy now, which is amazing.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the first thing here. Obviously, I want to address the elephant in the room, because obviously our YouTube videos, etc., we cater towards men mostly. I mean, when you joined the program, you were probably part of the 1% to 2% of women in the program. Right? I guess first, tell me more about your thoughts of me in the program before you joined.
Oh yeah.
And the fact that you're a woman. What were your thoughts? What were the thoughts running through your mind?
I always thought that men and women, we operate differently, got different chemicals in the brain. So I thought, oh, this guy, he's talking about he's helping men in the relationship. So I emailed you to just confirm if I can join, or if you're only catering to men. And you said that there's women in the program, and I actually saw Miriam and the other women who did testimonials, and that sort of just motivated me. Yeah, I can do this. I think I can do this. So and then when you send me the email, I was okay. Let's do this. So and it's great to find other women in the program, like Anna. I really enjoy watching her looms, because I really just can relate to what she's going through.
She was heavily stonewalled too. She was heavily just villainized by the partner, right? Like, done, 100% done. I'm done with you. Whatever. Same story. Same
stuff. So so this program doesn't really, it's for everyone, any gender, because at the end of the day, we're just people who have the same needs, really.
Yeah. And I often try to explain that to people, right? It's like, let's think back to the principles of what we teach in the program again, right? We talk about creating safety. We talk about creating admiration, mutual admiration, goal alignment, sexual passion, etc. Then we talk about the internal shifts like untethering, bulletproof vest. What part of that is gender specific? None of it. Are you saying that men don't want safety? Men don't want admiration? You're kidding me, right? So no, this is gender neutral. Now, this begs the question though, well, why do you cater your videos towards men? This is just a marketing thing that we've done since day one. There was not rhyme or reason to it. I just like, I'm a man. I thought I could coach men. I'm like, great, let me talk to men. Let me work with men. But if women want to join, that's fine too. And I do want to go even further, even bigger of a scope here into, because like one of the biggest learnings you had was also, dude, your situation is not special, right? Because there's a lot of people that I talk to who don't even sign up for the program often, who'll always tell me, Jeff, my situation is like this. Mine is more dire than most people's. Mine is more unique, more special, somehow different. And somehow people tell me, like, they end the email like this. They write this long story, right? And then they end their email like, have you ever seen a situation like this? Tell me you're thinking about that now. Now that you've been in the program for a while, tell me your thoughts.
So no one's unique, because it's just the fundamentals of it is the same. I thought that I was unique. I thought that I said, oh, he's different. He's black and white. His personality is just.
I mean, your
rigid.
partner, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember you telling me that.
Yes.
I remember you telling me that you told me in the beginning, like, oh, my partner's different because, like, once he says something, he means it. Like, he's very logical about it. He's not gonna just say this because he doesn't mean it, right?
Yeah. He. I thought so too, because that's him. That's just him. He said to me always, like, for example, he's got a friend who's done him wrong. He's gonna cut off that friend out of his life, and now I'm that person he's gonna cut off his life. And I was like, there's no way I can turn this around. I just have this, realistic, pessimistic view about things that, it's falling into pieces, and I can't do anything about it, and I can try my very hardest, but, like, I'm not the same as this other people in the program that turn things around. But I've never, ever in my wildest dreams thought that you're going to be interviewing me for, like, a client success story or something like that. And every Saturday in New Zealand, when I get up, make a coffee, I watch your client testimonials, and I was like, okay, if that dire situation, that's not even like half of what I'm going through, but that turned around. Mine will turn around as well. And I just continued, and here we are. So, to anyone who thinks that they're unique and special, just stop thinking about that and find the process to turn things around, because you can. So,
I think what's interesting about your case too is, I mean, if you look back into, because you delayed joining the program for a while, did this special circumstance delusion contribute to that? Like, I don't know if this can really help.
Yeah, I delayed joining the program because I was in other programs. Like, every week there's a new one, because I thought, oh, I finished that one, and that's like I know all the stuff that one teaches, and this other one, it's just similar to that one, and this other one, yeah, I mean, they're all the same, but the thing about your program is how do I change? Because some of the programs, like, it's great. I've learned some principles that are great, but that if I think I'm an already good person, like, I'm not like the toxiest person on earth. Like, I know how to be good, but, like, there's something missing. And I found it in your program, like the bulletproof vest and untethering and killing the fundamental attribution error. That's like the biggest, and finding the state of consciousness. These principles collectively are the biggest, like, principles that enlighten me on how to become better, because people know bad from good, but, like, how to be good and understanding and open and be like water, they don't know how to. Society, the school, the church, they don't teach you how to. They just say, be more understanding, be more open. But you were primed to have these principles in your brain since you were a kid, by your parents, by your school.
I think that's the thing that makes my job so hard sometimes, Eve, is, you know, I have to tell people all the time, you knowing about safety, you knowing about controlling the importance of safety, for example, the importance of controlling your emotions, doesn't mean you know how to do it or the details of how to do it. What we teach in this program is not like a mathematical lesson where I can show you this mathematical problem. I can pinpoint to you a proof and say, like, this is exactly where your problem lies. And I can pinpoint it on a piece of paper there. That's a problem, right? And sometimes the problems that we're trying to fix here are blind spots. They are deeply ingrained subconscious beliefs. Like, for example, for you, you knew about creating safety. You knew about not falling for the fundamental attribution error, for example, before you joined the program, because I talk about that in my videos. But it wasn't until you joined the program and you got to see all the different manifestations of it, all the deep ways that, and the very paradoxical ways that you fall into it, the blind spots that you go, oh, this thing that I thought I was doing right is actually not right at all. This is very far from it. And I think a good example of this is when a lot of men hear about safety, they think, for example, I need to be a man who solves problems then. But it's like, no, you doing that, you trying to be the perfect product like that, actually destroys safety even more. You have no idea how to create safety. And that's kind of what you're alluding to, is like, once you join the program, it's just the depth of it is so much more than understanding things conceptually, and you understand things very experientially now. And I think the other thing that you're alluding to as well is kind of like alluding this to a web, right? A lot of people, I think, know a lot about relationships. They read books here and there. They look at videos here and there. But like we always say, if you picture a web, the strength of your web is as strong as its weakest link. So you might have some very strong links around your web of knowledge of relationships, but nobody cares about how strong those links are. How weak are your weakest links? And I think what you were saying too is like, well, those other programs that gave you some strong links, great. The weak links are still killing it. And I couldn't understand what the weak links were.
Oh.
Is that kind of along the lines of what you're saying?
That is so true. Yeah. Yeah. Because I'm a pretty patient person, but there are sides in my personality that I don't like that seeped into my relationship that I'm aware of, but I couldn't really, before joining in, I have no idea how to fix those. I have no idea. It's also interesting how, your childhood plays a really important part, or a substantial part in the relationship, because I also grew up in a family that with a strong father figure, and I was a witness of the dynamics of the marriage.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And growing up, I said, "Oh, I'm never gonna be like them." There was a phase where they were not happy just together in the home, but like because of me and my brother, and there's no love there or emotional.
I know what I know what that's like. Yeah.
And I said to myself, me and my husband, we're never going to be like them. And my husband also has got that dynamic in the home growing up. And he also said to himself, oh, we're never going to be like them. But then when entropy set in the marriage, I thought to myself, am I reliving my parents' marriage? Mm-hmm. Is this like a self-fulfilling prophecy? But the thing is, because we have no idea how to sustain and maintain the emotional safety, and we were in a delusion of like unconditional love and like soulmates delusion, we didn't know how to maintain it. We didn't know how to be empathetic with each other.
Yeah.
So yeah. And it creeps in. It's very sneaky, and if you can't, not aware, it's just gonna blow up.
Yeah.
The marriage would just break down. So
I want to talk about that a bit deeper, because that's a very interesting point you made about the various subconscious ways that we destroy relationships, right? I guess now, right, looking back at the fact that safety is really the root of all relationship issues. How do you see, if you were to do a post-mortem right now of your relationship back then, what would you say were the sequence of events that kind of led to the demise?
Yeah, so I would react to in very subtle ways of the things that I didn't like. For instance, like, oh, I don't understand that movie. Can we change it? Something like that. That's very small, but like, he wanted me to watch that movie because it meant a lot to him. Like, looking back, I said, oh no, like I just, and then music as well, oh, can we just change to the music that I can understand, stuff like that. But he was trying to like explain to me how wonderful the lyrics are. And I destroy that in such little
subtle ways, right? It's interesting because like if I could do like a history lesson on your relationship kind of thing, probably, because a lot of people are thinking probably, man, what a trivial thing we're talking about. Like, we're talking about music and movies. What the fuck? Like, what are you doing? But let's think about this for a bit. So we talk about this notion of relationships dying by 1,000 cuts. And relationships dying because of the lack of safety. So imagine here, one day your partner tells you, hey, let's watch this movie. He's excited. I want to show you this because this movie really speaks a lot about me and what I believe in, what I think about. And you go, I don't really want it. Your partner's not going to just think, oh, next time I just won't share the movie. Your partner's going to think, is she really interested in me? That what I care about, what's important to me? And so think about this little scenario can destroy safety in a big way. Because the next time your partner wants to share something about himself, about his thoughts, he's going to have second thoughts. Ooh, the last time I did this, I was punished bad.
True.
And the worst part was that she didn't even understand how she made me feel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm going to have second thoughts. So maybe the next time your partner says something, he says it in not the nicest way because he's coming from this guarded place already. And of course, when he doesn't say it in the nicest way, you don't respond well as well. Now, this creates another layer of problems. And you can see the cycle going and going and going and going. Each time safety gets destroyed even more, the bitterness grows and grows and grows. The things that you're keeping together to yourselves grows and grows and grows. You grow more distant until 2 years later, in this case for you, you go, what the fuck? Are we meant for each other?
That is exactly what happened, Jeff. You're just so on point. That is exactly what happened. In the middle of last year, I was telling him, hey, how come you don't say I love you this much often? And why don't you kiss me anymore if I don't kiss you? And stuff like that. And because I asked him, there was one time I asked him, how come you're not really happy in our photos? You don't look happy. It's something. And then he would just nothing. He's not really just the open kind of person. That's because I don't really know how to how to communicate to open him up. So and he kept that, and I kept this resentment in me, thinking like I was the victim here. And then that night happened.
Yeah, I want to talk about that in a bit too.
Yeah.
Because that's really funny because like, so before we go there, right, I want to summarize this point here is the reason why we say that no situation is unique is because, okay, people often say, right, Relationships breaks down because of communication issues, misaligned goals. Maybe both couples stop trying to be there for each other. Maybe they become very competitive. I mean, there's so many reasons people say of why relationships break down. So many reasons. But here we're saying, I don't give a shit what your reason is. Right? It could be that you guys are not having sexual passion. It could be that you guys are misaligned on a few things. I don't care what it is. At the end of it, it's safety. Because take whatever problems you face in life. If you have safety, then it doesn't matter if you have those problems. Because you can talk about it, you can express it, you can understand it, and you can come to an agreement on it. But if you have those problems and you don't have safety, sorry, do you hear the car? If you have problems and if you don't have safety, that puts people in a catch-22, where if I talk about it, I will lose. If I don't talk about it, then nothing happens and I will lose. That's a very hopeless feeling. And that's what gets people to want to leave relationships, is that catch-22. The problems don't cause people to want to leave relationships. Let's be real here, right? So if we are saying behind all relationship issues is the same root cause, how can your situation be unique? Right? It's like saying, like, if all relationships have the same root cause, then it must have the same remedy as well.
Mm-hmm.
If you had this pill, right, you can take, you eat it, and you will cure all sicknesses. Who cares about diagnosing? Who cares about thinking your situation is so unique? Who cares anymore, right? So it's really absurd when sometimes when people say, like, have you seen a situation like this? Well, duh. What do you think? Like, what do you, right? And I think that what's interesting for you too is you got to see when every testimony that comes out, you were in the program, so you got to see their actual story. You got to see, like, you couldn't go down all the way to the first post that they made and go like, oh, that's what their situation was like. And so a lot of people think also, like, sometimes our interviews are faked, or like the seriousness of the situation that people were in doesn't really come across in videos sometimes. But you saw it. You saw how the first posts were like. So you're like, oh, if those guys can do it, what's my situation? You know, like, it's not that big of a deal.
True. That's so true. And it motivated me too, because, like, man, the stories in the Facebook group, it's amazing how they turn things around. And it's such going to be an embarrassment. Like, I'm a competitive kind of girl, and I see people who can do it, and so I tell myself, my situation is nothing compared to her situation, where, you know, they're miles apart, and mine is just here. You know, I can do this. So yeah, it's just you just gotta tell yourself that no matter how hard it is right now, it's gonna turn around if you just do the work, really. Yeah.
What would you say to people who are still, even after hearing your story, even after hearing you say that, they still say to themselves, nope, mine is still a bit more dire than yours. Even Eve, I don't care what yours was like, mine is still more dire. Like, what would you say to those people? If that person was standing right in front of you right now, and they're saying to you, like, no, mine's different.
So that's one of the reasons why your partner will not come back, because you and yourself are telling, you know, you're diagnosing your situation as unique, meaning if you're saying that, then how can you fix it? Meaning you can't change because you're blaming it on the situation. So how can you change? It's, you know, you want to, but you're already saying that you're going to fail. So how can you win even if you're saying to yourself you can't fail?
I think there's
You
two
know?
things that are heavily implied there. And I love those 2 points because
Yeah.
one, you're making a lot of implications about who you are, right? Like, so I've been using this example recently of the 10-second barrier example, right?
Mm.
So the 10-second barrier, guys, for those of you who don't know, is, in 1930s, it was considered impossible for humans to run the 100-meter dash in under 10 seconds. Humanly impossible. But like, you look at Usain Bolt now, he's like 9.58. And if you were even a high school runner, you got to run under 10 seconds in 2022. You gotta, to be competitive. Now, our anatomies didn't really change. What changed was a bunch of paradigms, a bunch of expectations, a bunch of like changes in the way we train, we recover. I mean, all these small things that add up to the whole. And so the example I often give is, imagine you are a 2022 coach, a running coach, and you've coached thousands of people to run under sub 10. You know the formula, you know the way. You find a time machine and you transport yourself back to 1930s. And you tell those guys in 1930s, hey, dude, I can get you to run under sub 10. You in? They would say, hell no. They will laugh you out of the room because there's so much advancements in understanding and knowledge that those 1930s people cannot see. Like, they cannot even fathom the fact that there are answers they don't even know yet, right? So what you're saying here is, if you're telling yourself, my situation is very unique, mine is more dire, and mine cannot be salvaged, what you're saying is, I'm in 1930s, and I believe that there's nothing in this life that will go beyond what we know today in 1930s. What we know today in 1930s is the cap. If I can't envision it, it must not be real. So you just limited yourself. And if you limit yourself like that, then you're right. Like you said, your partner has the right to leave because it means that you cannot change. Your potential for change is very low. The other way you can look at this too is looking at it in terms of suggestions that you're making towards your partner. So if you're saying, okay, Jeff, I believe you then. I can rise to the 2022 level. Sure, anything is possible. I can change so massively. If you still think if you change massively, your partner still won't come back to you, take a look at what you're saying here. You're saying that there's something so messed up with your partner in the way they think, in the kind of partners they look for, that no matter what you do, they will still see the worst in you. Now think about what you're insinuating there. Like, my partner is so messed up that she can never change her mind. She's not capable of changing her mind. She's not capable of letting go and surrendering and forgiving and stuff like that. If that's what you're saying too, she's right to leave your ass too. No matter how you cut it, the very fact that you limited yourself and your relationship or your partner is why you said your partner will never come back. Right? That's kind of the narrative here.
That is so true. Yeah.
Right?
It's all about the mindset, really. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's talk about also this period when you were stonewalled, because that was a big moment. And I think this is brings a lot of pain for a lot of people. Because sometimes people come into the program and they are stonewalled. They haven't talked to their wives or partner for months. Whenever they try to say something, they cannot break through to them. And the question that comes in their mind is like, well, how is she supposed to see my changes if I can never talk to them even?
Yeah.
What were you thinking during those moments of the dark months?
Yeah. So in the relationship, I did stonewalling. That was my go-to when, for example, he did something wrong, and I would stonewall, and then he would woo me back and like ask forgiveness and stuff like that. It's super manipulative, and looking back, I was like, oh my goodness, I was so evil. Like, why would I do that? You know, it's torture. And when he did that to me, I was like, oh my goodness, this is what I was doing to him before. And my reaction was that I was such a victim. So I booked a hotel in town, and I was like, okay, if you're stonewalling me, then fine, then I can just it's fine with me. And I was crying and stuff like that, and watching your videos and watching everyone's videos on YouTube on how to get back together again. And how do I break that wall? So I went back home and like tried to win him over, apologize, and begged, pleaded, all the wrong things, all the things that would worsen the situation I did. So gifts, because it was Christmas time, so he didn't of course he wouldn't bother. So like, it's funny because like I got a gift for his birthday, and I was like, okay, he's not gonna take this gift because he's stonewalling me. And like recently I said, you know what, I've got a jacket here. He's here. And I was like, you know what, I've got a jacket here. It's too large. Do you want to try it? And I know that was the jacket he was looking for. The color, the exact jacket. And his face lit up, and he said, oh, where did you get this? This is so cool. And he put it on and he said, it's made for me. And I was like, little did he know that was the gift that I was trying to give him.
You get him a long time ago.
When he was stonewalling me, absolutely had nothing to do with me. He loved it, and then he took it home. So like, okay, it's yours now. And like he was teasing me, see, this is not for you. This is for me. Okay. I said, yeah, it looks great on you. So that was the stonewalling, and it that was the slap in the face for sure. And if it didn't happen, I would have never changed. And this negative feedback loops will just go on and on until, I don't know, if it didn't happen, we would have had kids, and we would just be in a cycle of just toxic dynamics, like my parents as his parents. And
let's talk about that for a bit. That toxic cycle is very interesting, because let's look at the mechanics of how people fall into that, right? The thing we need to understand about relationships is that whenever we try to analyze relationships, it's always correlation, not causation. So here's what happens to a lot of people, right? When they get stonewalled, when they're having problems in a relationship, for example, for you, before you joined the program, you were saying to yourself a lot like this, right? Oh, my relationship was breaking down. He was not saying I love you anymore. He wasn't nice to me anymore. He wasn't smiling. He wasn't so lovey-dovey anymore, right? Now, one diagnosis you can have is he's fucked up. This is his fault. What kind of guy
changed?
Like, he's changed. What kind of guy doesn't do this, right? He's not a man. I can find a better person. So here's the victim diagnosis. And when you make the victim diagnosis, it sounds so correct. It seems so correct, right? It's like, no, like, that's it. That's the reason. And especially you get people saying all these things to you. No, I know that's the reason. Like, he's messed up. He fucked up, not me.
Yeah.
And we call this a blind victim illusion. Like, it sounds so correct to you. There's no possible way there could be anything else. So for people listening to this, right? If you are diagnosing your relationship right now, or your partner, and you're saying like, this is their fault, I've done everything I can, I've done this and done that, but they haven't done this and that. I know how correct you think you are. I know how convinced you think you are. But, if you look back into that diagnosis that you made, it's batshit crazy.
It is.
Right? So now we have to wonder here, Eve, how did we make a diagnosis felt so correct, but was so wrong the whole time. Because your partner was not an asshole the whole time, right?
Yeah.
He was not. All the diagnosis that you had was wrong. It was you all along. It was you. You couldn't create the right environment. You're feeding into the negative feedback loop. If you could speak to yourself, a version of you, let's say in 2021, when you were falling for all this victim mindset and you were convinced that this victim diagnosis was correct, what would you say to yourself? What would you say to that 2021 version?
Yeah, well, you're insane. That is, you are falling for the fundamental attribution error bias. You are so selfish and so self-absorbed, and like,
pretend this person, right? This person, the 2021 version of Eve has never gone through this program. She doesn't know what the FA bias is. She doesn't know the blind spots.
Yeah.
What would you say if you could wake her up right there? It's like she's standing right in front of you.
Just stop being the victim, because how dare you? How dare you victimize? Yeah. Be the leader and not the victim, because and just wake up. Stop all this narcissism, because I always thought like that I know everything about keeping a man, and to the point that even friends ask for advice from me because they feel better if they talk to me and stuff like that. And before November, a friend rang me crying because she's got, some marital issues. And I was like this grandmaster saying, do this and do that. Like, what the hell? Just blind leading the blind, really. So now there's so much enlightenment because, when you learn about the seat of consciousness and you being checking yourself, looking at yourself from like a third person kind of perspective, and like you are not your feelings and stuff like that. It's really just enlightening, and the anxiety just dropped when I started phase 1. It just automatically just dropped, and I felt like this is the program that I'm going to focus in, because I enrolled in multiple, and I don't even care anymore, because when I had that threat of losing my relationship, it just dawned on me that nothing matters in this world, like material things, money, your profession. Well, it plays a part like in sustaining you, but I don't care anymore how much I spend. I just want to become better. A better person for my family, for my friends, for my husband.
Yeah.
And it's just helped me a lot, really.
Good. I wanted to go back to this notion of like, what would you say to your older self, right? Because like, I think if I could say something to my older self, and it's something I tell people too, okay, we all have felt this feeling of what I call like certainly being certain about something that's wrong, like that feeling of like you're right about something, right? Maybe it's an assumption you made about someone, an assumption you made about the situation. You're like, I fucking guarantee this is what happened. But then later on, you find out something else that made you feel very stupid. It's like, oh, I was so wrong. I didn't see that. I'm sure many of you have felt that before. I would tell my older self, those feelings you get when you're certainly wrong? This is it right now. I know how you feel. I know how right you think you are. You're wrong, bruh. You're so wrong.
Yeah.
Right. And the fact that I'm here from the future coming into you should be all the difference in the world, right?
Yeah.
I also want to talk a bit about also during this moment when you were stonewalled heavily, you couldn't say anything. I told you during those times, like, Eve, don't worry. This is called the paradox of change. It will happen. Embrace it. In the meantime, work on yourself and make sure that when the opportunity arises again for you guys to talk, whether it's something you create or he creates, your job is to not get caught with your pants down. Make sure you have the right skills, become a performer, master it so that you can get it wrong, so that you can perform. I bet that was hard for you to listen to. Right?
True.
Because here you were, you couldn't see the light at the end of the tunnel. You don't know how long the stonewalling was going to last. You don't know what was on the other side of that tunnel. You were running blind, and all you had was my voice going, just trust me. What were you feeling during these times? If you could look back.
Yeah, looking back, it was so cringy because like I thought this is not me. This is not myself. And I was so reluctant to start campaigns really in May, in the beginning of May, because I really thought this is not applicable to him.
But like during the moments, like from February to May, when you were completely shut out.
Yeah.
Right. Did you have this illusion of like hopelessness, for example? Oh, what's the point? Did you have the urgency illusion where you're like, I got to do something now. I got to do something. I can't just sit here and just work on myself. What the fuck?
For sure. Urgency illusion, all 7 of the illusions I've got, but like just, the urgency for sure. Because I was like, oh no, it's now April. Oh no, it's now March, something like that. And he's still not doing this. He's still not, doesn't he miss me? Stuff like that. And like you've got friends as well as saying, oh, you can get any guy you want, start dating again, stuff like that. And I was like, no, I want to stand. I want to stand for my marriage. And and it's just, it's an awful phase in my life. And when the program is so rich, and phase 1, and I was like, oh no, there's too much information. And I said, is this even gonna work? Is this even gonna work? And I just went through to it because everything is interconnected. And I said, oh, okay, to fix that, you have to do this. Okay. And then you just have to take it a module at a time. And if you don't understand, and I go back. For example, your module is like an hour or 2. That module will it's days for me because I've got to go back. If I don't get that thing that you said, I tend to replay, and then I would Bluetooth it to my car and listen to it like a podcast while I was driving. And then it just goes into your lifestyle really. And now you just know it. You just live it. And then you know it,
You know what's interesting is because like I think sometimes people get shocked when they join the program because like you joined other programs before. When you join it, what's the first thing you see? They'll tell you, here's what you're going to do now. Here's what you're going to say to her now, right? They get to the saying, the doing really fast. It's like, no, don't forget about internal shifts. Like, let's just do this now. This is what you're going to say to her. This is what you're going to tell her. And for us, that part when we actually tell you to tell your partner something, to talk to your partner is, depending on how fast you go to the program, a month, 2 months in, all right? 2 months, you're not talking to your partner. You're just working on internal shifts. People get confused. And people cannot trust it. People cannot trust like, dude, just I tell them, just trust me. They'll go somewhere. This is what you need. But they don't trust me. They skip all the internal shifts to go there. Now looking back, right? I always tell people no one has relationship problems. Everyone has problems with the self that reflects in their relationship. So if you try to talk to your partner without these internal shifts, that's like going to a boxing ring without any training. Like you're going to be screwed, and you're going to create more damage than you think you're fixing. And worst of all, often you don't even know how you're creating damage here. I would say also the biggest shame is not no contact. The biggest shame is manufacturing contact and having nothing to show for your changes. Because when you manufacture contact and your partner sees that you haven't changed, it'll be so much harder to get them to believe you next time, kind of thing. How hard was it? Because like you were diligent, right? You were diligent the whole time. You were looking at the internal shifts. You were geeking out about the core program, like you said. You were obsessing about it. And these are not what to say, what to do. These are more internal stuff. How hard was it for you to stay that course? And what were the voices that were telling you that was coming up in your head, wanting you to get away from that course of like, let me just focus on the internal shifts?
Because I am a curious kind of person. I like learning things. I'm in constant, like I constantly want to like learn about facts in life and stuff like that. And that kind of helped me in the program. And also the process of success. I kind of like know that as a nurse, like in the back of my head, but I don't know that is the process of success, when you have a collection of knowledge, and then what are you missing? And then you're going to discover that what is missing there. And then you form new information that is correct. And then you go back to the first step, which is forming your hypothesis again. And that kind of helped me. And for people that is skipping that crucial part, it's not going to work, because you have been this person your whole life. And if you do not have a process to change that internally, it will sound fake. Everything you'll say or do will seem fake. And that's the importance of building your internal shifts first before climbing the actual mountain, which is manufacturing contact, playing out the frameworks and stuff like that. So it's really crucial. The February to April, May was very crucial for me. And I didn't really realize that until the frameworks itself. Because when I played out the frameworks and he was not responding well, then I go back to the hypothesis and what am I missing here? Like, why is he not responding well?
Yeah.
But then I go back and then reiterate, and then coaching call. And then every coaching call I learn more. Okay, that's the thing that I'm missing, until such time that he started opening up. And it was so fast for me, because it's May the 7th when I started my frameworks. And then we're intimate again end of May. So let's
talk about that. Let's talk about how you got out of the stonewalling. Let's talk about how you got out of the stonewalling,
how I
right?
did. Oh.
Because okay, so what was the mechanics of your first campaigns?
So it was paraphrasing. It was me expressing to him what he felt, like looking into his eyes, trying to look like from his perspective what he felt when in November we had that fight, and before that we had that fight, and then trying to ask him if that's how he felt, and I'm saying no or yes to that, and then trying again to go and live his experience and trying to ask him is that how he felt. And then we went over and over. There were emotional conversations. The first campaign was resistance for sure, and yeah, and there was you can't even get anything from him. It's just saying, I feel nothing.
Okay,
I feel
let's
dead
deconstruct
inside.
this. Yeah, I want to deconstruct
Stuff
this
like
with you
that.
because this is fascinating. Whenever people face stonewalling, I love this conversation because let's really try to deconstruct this like a scientist kind of thing.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk first about the principles of safety. Right? We always say like all relationship problems are due to lack of safety. If you can create that safety, everything goes right. Great. That's where everything starts. Now let's look at the principles of safety though. How do you actually create safety? Right. The main principle behind safety is what we call we have 4 principles behind this in the program. One is but one of it is like the same level playing field kind of principle, right? Which is when I feel safest with people who I feel like understand me most, that can somehow read my mind a bit. And they're always right about reading my mind. Like we have one mind. Because if I ask you, for example, who would you feel safest expressing yourself to? Someone who you feel like will just get whatever you're trying to express, or someone will like judge, will not understand, will dismiss, will misinterpret everything you say? Obviously, the person who gets it, right? Who understands you, same level playing field. Who would you rather listen to? So this is psychological safety. Who would you rather listen to? Would you listen to someone who knows you, who knows what you're going through? Or would you rather listen to someone who doesn't know what you're going through? For example, you talk about your work. Is it easier to talk about your work and listen to advice about work from someone, your boss, for example, who you respect, or from your dad, who doesn't even know what you do, doesn't even understand what you do, right? Obviously, the obvious answer. So that's the critical thing behind safety. So when we told you like your first campaign needs to be deeply, deeply understanding, right? Deeply understanding. I remember there was a call that we had together, and I still use this call for every single member that comes in, because it's a perfect example of like someone who you thought you understand what it was like to understand your partner. Remember that? You came to the call and you asked me, Jeff, like, here's what I paraphrased. Here's the campaign that I did. And I was deep about it, but he doesn't respond very well to it. What am I missing? And it turns out, like after that call, I told you, you actually have a lot of blind spots here. There's actually a lot about his story, about his life, about his thing that you don't understand yet. You haven't even dug through the surface of what he's actually feeling. So if you're paraphrasing him on this very light surface level things, of course he's not going to take it well. Do you remember that call?
Yeah.
Okay. And then you took that and you slowly deepen your paraphrase. And what's interesting is like when your paraphrase is bad, you get a lot of resistance. When it gets deeper and deeper, he starts to soften a lot. It's beautiful how that works. Which is also interesting because like I think a lot of people, when they try something and they get resistance, they misdiagnose it again. They say, it's not about what I'm doing. This is her fault. Why would she be so resistant? Why would she not understand that? Like, what's wrong with them? But you dug deeper into yourself and you went, no, what can I do better? Right? And you dug deeper and you realized that, oh, I can find deeper skills into what paraphrase actually means. And it goes back to our conversation again earlier about you can understand what it means to paraphrase, to understand someone. But if you just conceptually understand it, it's here. But if you understand it, it's deep, right? There's so much depth that you can go beyond what most people can understand about understanding.
Sure.
The third thing I want to talk about too is this existence of this resistance, right? And the way I see it, Eve, now that I can describe it to people is we always say resistance is a gold mine. We want that to happen, right? So let's say, okay, from my case, I can ask my partner all day long, hey, are you happy in the relationship? And she'll say, yeah, it's fine. What's something that what's like a bad memory that you've been harboring in your mind, honey? Like, tell me, I want to hear all the bad stuff you think about me. I have nothing. They can't think of anything. Right. But then let's say we're driving and we're talking in the car. And then I say something that triggers her. Oh, resistance. She gets upset. To me, for most people, they would see that as like, what an inconvenience. How annoying. Stop it. Stop being so angry. Stop being so dramatic. Right. But then for me, it's like, oh, this is a bad feeling, a bad thought, a bad assumption that she has about me that she's been harboring for a very long time. And me saying this thing triggered her to feel those negative emotions. But now that she feels those negative emotions, that's good. Because now I know about it and I can address it. A very different mindset, right?
Yeah.
I love it when she resists me because that tells me like, that's something that's been killing the relationship that we didn't know was killing the relationship. Now like a whack-a-mole game, it's out and I can beat it in again. Or in this case, like gently do it, right? In the proper way. But that's kind of what you faced, I bet. I bet when you first did the campaigns, it surfaced a lot of resistance from your partner, a lot of like difficult emotions, very tough emotions. And you kept taking those negative emotions, turning it from negative to positive, more negative to positive until there was nothing left. Was that kind of the progression of things?
Yes. The level of resistance was so tough. He wouldn't even look at me, like wouldn't even engage. And he would just say, I'm having a headache because of you telling me all of this and stuff like that. So, and then, but I would just find an opportunity and then plant seeds and then find another opening, plant seeds. And then it's just gradually the walls just crumble down gradually. It's like the ice in the room and you've got a hair dryer and stuff like that.
That now.
And I was also sharing the concept of being water with a friend recently. And she said, yeah, that's still right. Because like society, for example, builds you up and you become concrete. You become a rock with all these
unmoldable
friends. Exactly. And she said, yeah, being water is actually the best because water can trickle down into a rock and it forms the rock over time. So it's the most powerful element. And I was like, that's a really nice analogy. And it's the same as the ice in the room with your hair dryer. You just have to be consistent. And because you know the principles work, you don't stop until you melt that ice.
I love that. It's interesting you say like when your partner was stonewalling, he would say to you, I have a headache, forget it. Because like part of the thing we teach you too is like, no, the thing is never about the thing. There's always a thing behind the thing. Okay. If your partner says to you, I have a headache. Your partner says to you, I want a divorce. That's not what they mean. Okay. I don't want to talk to you. That's not what they mean. There's something deeper there. Often when your partner says, I don't want to talk to you, I have a headache, it's them really saying, I don't feel safe. I know where this conversation is going to go. It's gone. If I look back at the past, the conversation has gone in so many different ways that are bad. And I just don't have energy or time to get into this right now. I don't want to get into this right now. If they say, I want a divorce, they're not saying I want a divorce. It's really that I'm feeling the catch-22. I'm feeling hopeless. I want to see what you're going to do about it. I want to see how you're going to respond to this. Right? There's always a thing behind a thing. Everything is a test. Right?
Yeah. And looking back, the thing behind the thing concept, looking back, he said to me, oh, when are you going to move out? We tried, but this is not working. The real thing that he's saying behind that is like, show me your changes.
Yeah. I need to see your changes fast because
yeah, I need to see the changes fast. And like the night before I moved out was like the really sort of the one of the deepest conversations we had, where it's so beautiful, really, the night before I moved out. Because he said to me, I know what I said, like I wanted to separate and divorce, but now I don't know what I want anymore. And the thing behind the thing around that is like, let's work things out. So yeah. But I said to him, I already confirmed like that I'm moving out to that new place. So let's see what happens, you know. You know where, and he offered to like help me out with my things. And then when we said goodbye that night, and you know, we were crying in the car because he was telling me, and I was like, why are you so quiet? And then he was like, I'm just remembering all the memories we had and stuff like that. And I said, that's exactly what I'm feeling. We're on the same page on this. And that last night was beautiful, and he agreed. And then I, being realistic, like unpacking that night, I said to myself, he's never going to see me again. We'll see when the seeds will germinate. I'll just wait for the seeds to germinate. And like two hours later, he's texting me. And I said, you know, he said hello. And I said, okay, how are you? And stuff like that. And he's crying. And I was like, me too. So, and then the next weekend he's here. So it's really amazing that when I finally moved out, we're back together. It's just so ironic to me.
That's not uncommon to me, right? Because I want to go to the last point here, which is like, your partner is always watching you, even when you don't think they're watching you, even when they say they're not watching you, even when they say they're done, they're still watching you, right? And everyone eventually faces this, because now looking back in the dark periods when you weren't talking to your partner, no contact, right? You were saying to yourself, he's not even watching. What the fuck? Who cares? But he was watching you the whole time, So remember, guys, like they're always watching, right? But the thing is this, we know about the paradox of change, right? So we need to put ourselves in our partner's shoes for a bit. Our partner is someone who's been burned a lot of times, because Eve, your case is not different too. You made some promises to him in the past. You told him that things are going to change. You told him that things are going to be different. You told him that things are going to be different, can be different, etc. You made so many promises about how you're going to do things differently. And he trusted you every single one of those times, and he got burned every single one of those times. And that's what made him feel so hopeless over these years. It's like, I'm done with this. When people say I'm done, it's saying like, I'm tired of your bullshit promises. I'm tired of your words. I'm tired of you are the girl in this case who cries wolf. I'm tired of it. And so the only way your partner is going to understand the true nature of your changes is if he makes it hard for you. And he's not doing this in a purposeful way, okay? Like he's not going like, oh, let me make it hard for Eve so I can see her changes. It's really that when he looks back at everything you do, let's say you did 100 things, and you do 99 things that are great. 99 things that are great. But he can assign it to, I don't know if that's real changes. I don't know if that really counts because I made it easy for her, you know? Like I didn't really make it hard for her. Or like maybe she was doing it because I gave her some hope. But I don't know if that suggests that her changes are permanent. I don't know. It doesn't tell me much. But let's look at this one. Let's say you do this one thing that is right. But then he goes like, okay, why would she do the right thing there? I told her there was no hope. I told her I wasn't watching her. I told her I didn't care about her changes. I told her there's nothing she can do to change my mind. But yet, she still did that nice thing for me. Interesting. and you do that one thing correctly over time, makes him continue to wonder, like, what is she doing? What is the ulterior motive here? Until they eventually realize, like, no, there is no ulterior motive. That is her now. That is her permanent changes. And that's when they start to believe you. So your partner will tell you there's no hope. Your partner will tell you, I'm not watching you. I don't care about your changes. Like, they will tell you everything because they want to see, what do you do when no one's watching? What do you do when there's no hope? What do you do? Do you keep going your new self, or do you go back to your old self? Because so people miss the plot here, right? People say, like, well, Jeff, I get it, but like, my partner told me there was no hope. That's the fucking point. She had to say that to see what you would do. And if that makes you give up, then you're just telling her, yeah, you're right to leave. Because this is not real. These changes are not real. You see what I mean?
Yeah, that's so true. I recently listened to a speech from Natalie Portman, and she, in her speech, she said, the question is to be or not to be. That's not actually the question. It's how to be and not how to be. That is the question.
Tell me your epiphanies. Yeah.
Yeah. So I said, oh my goodness, she is so right. It's the process, because the gist of her speech, this was, I think it's in Harvard University graduation. She had a speech, and the gist was like, focus on the process and not the outcome, because and it's so true. It's so true. How do you become?
Yeah.
How do you become? And you don't. No one will teach you that. No one will teach you that. It's just you get a slap in the face, and then you wake up, and then you find the process. I don't know how you find it, but
yeah, I love that, because I think the thing I take away, because I think my viewers know, like, the importance of process over outcome. If you don't know, then you got to start watching my videos. But the other thing that I think is interesting with that lesson is, like, what we talk about, how it's not about what you do, but how you do it, right? If you know the right how, you can struggle, you will thrive under any what. If you don't know the right how, you will struggle under any what. So a lot of people, when they ask about relationship questions, they always ask, should I do contact, no contact? Should I say this? Should I say that? You're asking the wrong questions, bruh. Right? The right question is, how do I do it? Because if you do it right, honestly, if you can do no contact, both will do well if you know how to do it. If you know how to do it.
Truly. For sure.
You can say whatever you want if you know how to say it. And I think that's what you face too. Like, what got you to be really scared about campaigning in the beginning was the how, right? You were stuck on the what. It's like, okay, I know I need to do this, but I don't know how. So I don't know how to make it work, I guess. But once you know how to make it work, you realize I can campaign about anything. Like, it's so easy. I can say whatever I want and it sounds great.
Yeah, truly. And it's amazing because before phase one, I always wake up with anxiety. Like my heart will literally just, the moment I wake up, oh, it's the real world again. You know, I want to, like, I just want to sleep, because like when you're asleep, you don't have any problems. But when you wake up, there's a lump literally in my throat.
Oh God.
And my heart would pump. And I'm not an anxious person. I'm actually bradycardic, which is in medical like terms, like you're a low heart rate kind of person. Like my heart rate will be 54, 55, and that's normal for me. But when this happened, the slap in the face happened, I was like tachycardic, which is the opposite of that, which is not normal for me. So like, oh no, this is just wreaking havoc in my life, in my health. And it's amazing that, thank God for your program, really.
Yeah. So just to close off this topic, I want you guys to remember something. When your partner tells you there's no hope, I'm not watching your changes, I don't care about your changes, I'm on a divorce, the first thing we think is, the test is over. I lost the test. I failed the test. I'm done. So you get demoralized, you give up. But what you don't realize, guys, that is the test. The test is, what do you do when she says that? Right? What do you do when your partner says that? That is actually the beginning of the test. That's when the test starts, is when they say that. So think about that. It goes deep. But last thing I want to talk about is really your experience in this program, because you mentioned you joined other programs before. I know this is a tough question, but what made you join the other programs first before mine?
I always went with the cheapest ones first, for sure. So yeah, and subscribers. It really, I went to YouTube and oh, this guy has like 100,000 plus followers. The program must work. So I enter that, and yeah, but then when I finished like their books or whatnot, I said, I know this already. What's new? Like, I didn't join in the programs that will say on their videos what it is, because like, okay, like change my appearance, get a haircut, be smarter.
Wait, this program will really say that? Like, change your appearance, get a haircut?
No, yeah. Well, some of the books say that, like, yeah.
Okay.
and like don't argue, something like that, and be more social, hang out with friends and all that. So okay, I know this already. What's new? Until
like, they'll just tell you very vaguely, like, oh, you got to work on yourself. If you're not happy, then you cannot be in a happy relationship, right? It's like, okay,
yeah.
what the fuck does that mean? Like, what do I do?
Yeah. And you have to change, like how to change. So there's really just gaps that I am missing. And I finished the programs in like a week and nothing happens. Like, okay, I know that already. My anxiety is still there. I'm not coping and I'm not getting it back. So what is missing here? And then when I started watching your videos, there was just I just resonated with them, and you break down everything so logically that I can understand. And I said, oh, I think this is the one for me. This is the program for me.
What about, because like, I'm not the oldest person in my niche. Other coaches are older. I'm also not the most, I don't have certificates hanging off the rafters from my wall, right? In fact, I don't even have education on this. I educated myself on this. Did that cause for, like, was that a cause for concern for you? Because I bet when you're looking at other programs, you're looking at like credentials and certifications and qualifications, etc. Yeah.
The fact that you're a millennial as well, I think that also did it for me, because like, oh, okay, he's on the same generation as me, so he must understand, the dynamics of the modern relationship. Yeah, and I didn't really care, because the way you're like a teacher, you're like a professor to me, you break it down so well. And my parents are professors, by the way. And you break it down so well that, oh, I understand this guy. Like, and you go deep into the information. It's just not about, because there are programs that are so simple. So simple. Okay, you do this, you heal from within, I know that already. What's next?
Yeah.
And what is this? You try to express more feminine energy into the relationship and stuff like that. And like, but where's the change,
Yeah.
So
it's funny
was thinking,
because I resonate with that. So right now, to date, I've spent about $250,000 on education from like other coaches, stuff like that. fact, there's a mastermind right now that I joined. I pay like 56 grand a year for it, right? And this person that I trusted my whole life to, she doesn't have any qualifications in terms of like business degrees, anything like that. She didn't even, I don't think she did that well in school. I think she was like a communications major kind of thing. But what she did was she was able to break down things in such a scientific way to where it makes you go, there's no way this person can fake it. There's no freaking way they can fake it, right? You can't fake this level of knowledge. So I trusted her. And I never once asked like if she had any qualifications, anything like that. I'm like, down, I'm in. And I was spending like 56 grand with her every single year. And I never regret it. Every single day, I never regret it. And my team can use her as well, never regret it. And sometimes I think the challenge for me is like, I got an email last week. Someone saying like this, Jeff, what you're doing is a fucking ripoff, right? I joined this program for $10 a month. And it's so far so good. Look, man. And I saw some of the content. I know some people from this program. And it's like, look, man, if you think that's good luck to you. Like if you think a Toyota Camry is good, one day you're going to drive a Bentley. You're going to tell me what that's like. Okay. or like a Maybach, whatever it is, but whatever. So when you join the program, then after joining those other programs, when you join my program, because like it's way different. It's much deeper. I speak in this very harsh way sometimes. Tough love from the very get-go. It was complex. It wasn't talking about what to do here and there. Was it a culture shock for you when you first joined?
Yeah, there was a bit of a culture shock there. And the first module, the first phase was like, oh no, what have I gotten myself into? Now I have to make videos of myself
yeah.
and like make like audio recordings and stuff like that. This is not me. And I'm sharing my whole life to like this group of strangers on Facebook and stuff like that. So yeah, a culture shock for sure. But I got to get through it because it's the way. It's the way to change myself and become like water. Like and it's great. And I highly recommend, not to just sound, endorsing the program, but I highly recommend for people who are ready to make that step.
You get nothing from endorsing this. I'm not paying you for this interview. You got nothing. We don't even offer like a referral fee for people. Like we're like, no, we don't. If you want to refer us, but you don't got to get paid. That's what. I think I tell people too, right? Here's kind of what people need to understand about the coaching industry. Okay. So first things first, we need to understand the difference between coaches giving people what they want versus what they need. Here's the problem right now. So like if you look at the opioid crisis, why did it start? A big part of why it started was because hospitals in the US are privatized. Every hospital system is owned by an entity, like a corporation. It's not owned by the government, mostly, right? Well, all these hospitals are competing against each other. And what do they get rated on? They get rated on how comfortable, how pain-free the stay was. Not about how well you did in treating the patient. It's about how pain-free it is. Well, if I'm rated on how being pain-free I am, I'm going to give you a ton of painkillers. Boom, 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 boom. I don't care if you are addicted to it. All I care about is the good review that I get. Opioid crisis started, right? Same thing for coaches, if you think about it. A lot of coaches are not willing to coach the way I coach. A lot of tough love. A lot of just like telling you what you need to hear. Doing you things that pushes you so far outside your comfort zone. People want to quit. Very early, people go into the program, they're like, fuck, I want to fucking quit. I don't want this anymore, right? That gives me some bad reviews sometimes from people. It makes people unhappy sometimes. But that's necessary, because like, if I just become one of those coaches who give people what they want, that's not giving you what you need. And I always tell people too, like, if you buy a program and the coach doesn't push you outside your comfort zone, doesn't make you uncomfortable, doesn't push you the heck out of you, doesn't get you to do things that you're not used to, doesn't teach you things that you don't agree, that sometimes you go like, I disagree with that, you just got fucking scammed. Because they're just telling you what you already know. They're just telling you, they're just stroking your little feathers, being like, oh, you're just going to be okay. But they're not teaching you anything new, right? But it's a hard job. It's a hard dynamic for me, because I get like weird reviews sometimes, like weird people saying weird things. But it's like, dude, you don't understand. Like, the review system is broken too.
Mm-hmm.
Just think about it. For people, just think about that when you're like considering programs, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is this like just making me comfortable, or is it taking me outside my comfort zone? Just think about that. Eve, I know that was like an hour and a half already.
Yeah.
Time flew by.
Yeah. This is a great conversation with you, Jeff. Thank you for having me. Appreciate that.
Yeah, for sure. So Eve, I'll leave you to it. So guys, if you want to explore what Eve went through here, I know Eve was so vulnerable here. Like, if you want to go through this journey and learn all these details, like what is the antithetic mindset? What is the process of success? What is, being water? What does that mean exactly? Antithetical thinking, seat of consciousness, all these terms that Eve is going and have like this integrated system where it gives you literally everything you need internally and also externally to lead a relationship, no matter what your case is. We do have a masterclass that kind of tells you about how the system works. That masterclass is about an hour and a half. So you can join it by clicking the link below this video. At the end of the masterclass, we'll show you also how to apply for the program if you're interested. Right now, because I'm the only coach, we're trying to expand our team, but it's slow. We're only able to take in less than 7% of people right now, of applicants. So make sure, if you're serious about this, pay attention to your application process and make sure it's good, because we do look at that. But Eve, if you could give, again, someone one piece of advice, one more takeaway, if they were in your situation, someone who is facing a lot of stonewalling right now, their partner tells them there's no hope, nothing you can do to change my mind, etc. They've tried other programs, doesn't work. What's the one thing you would say to them right now?
You've got to focus on yourself and make that change, because your situation is not unique. And if you find that process that you can change internally first, you will get your partner to change their minds. Yeah. And if you want to, you can check out Jeff's masterclass. It doesn't really matter where you find that process, but the program that Jeff made is the best one for sure to find that process.
The way I describe it too is like become irreplaceable, right? And
Really.
Outcomes that go beyond your wildest imagination will come to you if you rise high enough. Now, the question now is like, how high do you think you can rise? The challenge, I think, for our people is like the level that you think you can rise is not even close to being the highest. I will raise you higher, and I want to raise you higher. You just have to humble yourself for me to get there. But Eve, thank you so much for the interview.
Thank you.
What do you think overall, though, of the interview? Had fun?
Yeah, for sure. It doesn't really feel like an interview. It's just like a catch up, really. It's another long coaching call.
Yeah, it does. It does feel like that. Yeah. So yeah, Eve, I know you inspired a lot of women in the program too. So thank you for that as well. I know a lot of women are getting a lot of results because of being inspired by you. So just know that you made an impact on a lot of people's lives as well, not just your own. So yeah, give yourself a pat on the back on that.
Oh, I'm glad. I'm glad to know that. Really, thank you for letting me know.
Yeah,
that's great. Awesome.
All right, Eve.
All right,
thank you so much. I'll see you soon. Have a good weekend. Okay.
Yeah, you too.
Bye.
Bye-bye.